Welcome to the AI Chat Podcast. I'm your host, Jaden Schaefer. Today on the podcast, we have the pleasure of being joined with Bob Wollheim, who is a partner at CI&T, a leading company in digital solutions where he plays a pivotal role in driving the organization's growth and nurturing its talent. With a focus on modern management models and collaborative culture, he's been instrumental in their adaptation and thriving in the dynamic digital landscape. He's an AI enthusiast, and Bob brings valuable insights into data-driven strategies and AI implementation in the business world. In addition, I am holding a copy of his book, which is called Orchestration. We're excited to dive into all of this today on the podcast. Welcome to the show today, Bob.
Thank you so much, Aiden, and I'm so happy I'm already finished. Everything that you said about me, it's so honored to have to be here with you today.
Well, that is fantastic to hear. I'm wondering if you could, for the listeners, if you could give everyone a little bit of your background and your journey. What brought you to doing what you're doing today? Tell us a little bit about your journey.
All right. It's a long journey, but let me give you a quick summary. I just moved to the U.S. a year and a half ago, working with a company called CI&T. It's a technology company. It's a company that is implementing AI solutions to lots of big clients like the Coca-Colas, the J&Js of the world. I run two areas at the company, basically the people area and the communications area, the lead generation area. And we are facing the transformation, the huge transformation that AI is bringing to the world. So in some cases, we are, helping our clients to face their own transformation, either the opportunities on, being more effective and efficient, and on the other side, on exploring like the opportunity of creating experiences that are much, 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 much better than what we used to be able to do before AI. And also, I've been studying, and that's why you showed the book, this post-pandemic world where, everyone was kind of not really invited, but we were kind of forced to rethink our relationship with our work, right? Plus the AI revolution that we're living right now made an invitation for us to rethink what work is, what leadership is. And that's when the book comes out, I think there's a new breed of leaders, the orchestrators, being born for this complex AI world.
Yeah, 100%. I think you're spot on there. There's so many unique challenges we're facing today. I'm wondering, could you tell us a little bit of, give people a summary of the concept of your book and how it kind of plays into some of the shifts that we're seeing in the AI in the landscape today?
All right, good. So I think orchestration, I organize it into...
Have you ever wanted to start your own podcast? I record and publish podcasts on a platform called Spotify for Podcasters, and I absolutely love it. Essentially, you can upload from your phone or computer, and it distributes to every platform that plays podcasts. They support video podcasts, and you can make money on the platform with ads or even podcast subscriptions, something that has made my life so much easier as a podcaster. So if you're interested, I highly recommend you give it a try. You can download the Spotify for Podcast app, or go to spotify.com/podcasters to get started on your podcast today.
Big three mindset shifts. The first one is coming from the me to more of a we mindset, right? A little bit less of a I do, I have a team, I have, an idea, I have a conviction to the we collectively building stuff. The second point is like coming from less directing stuff and more choreographing stuff and people. And that connects with the complex world and the AI world. You are also, leaders will be choreographing also AI agents, not only humans, right? So it's becoming much, much more complex. And the third big driver change is coming from what is known as the purpose of a company to more of a personal meaning. I think a pandemic made that invitation that we all want to have a personal meaning that can be summed up in a company that we participate. But it's not like we're not crazy about joining a company's purpose. There's something out there far from the reality, sometimes not even being walks the talk. And so this is with this big mindset shifts, I've organized a few drivers that made an orchestrator, right? So from receptive listener to be considerate, to be detached, to unleash people's meaning, unlocks people's potential, be a resource, and spark autonomies. These are the 7 drivers of an orchestrator that, becomes much more of a conductor in managing organizations and companies than a boss, even an inspiring leader. It's much more of like making sure that everyone has, can play their best instrument, but, and they are all aligned and orchestrated and choreographed together.
I love that. Yeah, I think there's so many unique aspects of what's happening today, and that's kind of what struck me about orchestration. There's some incredible takeaways inside the book on that. Something else I would love to ask you about is, how does CI&T approach the challenge of sourcing and prepping data for AI applications today?
Yeah, that's a long and maybe profound question or answer. I think I would start from the humane part of it. We're trying to never forget, and we believe that not necessarily technology is made for good, but we believe that we should make it for good, right? So ethics and biases, all that stuff, we're making sure that we're paying attention and being very conscious on the way we do everything. Obviously, we have to follow all the, legal requirements because we work with big enterprise companies, global companies. But at the same time, I think the third aspect maybe to your question is like, we're trying to, besides those things, never block creativity, right? So, and I think there's something that people are, the whole data, it's a mindset of organizing and learning and, being pragmatic, etc. But with AI, you can add creativity, right? Because a data-driven mindset, it's basically a mindset of looking at the mirror, right? So everything that you can organize, you can learn a lot, you can do amazing stuff with that. But with AI, you can combine the creative aspect of all of that and kind of create the future, right? So I think, to summarize it all, I think it's an open mindset that we're trying to bring, not be over pragmatic, over engineering driven, but also creativity and innovation driven in our approach to everything that we're doing among data and AI.
Okay. Yeah, I love that. And I should have done this at the beginning, but I'm wondering, would you be able to give just like a quick blurb or summary on what exactly CI&T does for the listener?
Yes. CI&T is a technology company. We help the transformation of incumbent big corporations like the Coca-Colas, the J&Js, big financial institutions of the world, into their digital space, and more recently into their AI space. That by definition, there is no AI space itself. AI is a mean, right? So, but into their hyper efficient world of producing technology in a way that was never possible, and also hyper experimentation. So creating experiences for their customers in a way they never had before, right? So that's basically what we do. We are 6,000 people around the world, originally from Brazil, but big presence here in the US, big presence in Europe and Asia too, and helping those big corporations to reinvent themselves. Once every company is a technology company nowadays, right? So, and every company will be not saying it will be a company that will develop things on AI, but will be an AI-driven company. I don't see any other way, right?
Yeah.
Because things, either on the production side or the factory side, will be AI driven. On the management side, they are already AI driven, right? And on the marketing side, even more. So every company will be somehow AI powered, let's say. And so that's what we are helping, our clients to do.
Yeah. I think you're so right. Everyone will have to be an AI-driven company, or else, of course, their competitors will be able to outperform them with increased efficiency. But what I would love to ask you about is, like, in working on this, what are some of the biggest challenges that you have in helping companies perhaps come up with their AI strategies or implement AI or kind of bring it in? What's some of the biggest challenges you face while doing that?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And, and my answer is, I had someone asking me that question about what was my personal biggest challenge or fear, right?
Yeah.
And the answer was myself. and I think the answer to your question is the people, right? So there's no technology barrier. Everything that is, we talked before about, compliance and legal, and ethics should be taken care of naturally. But these are not the blocks. The blocks are us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we think that we will be replaced, or we think this is not good enough, or, and sometimes some people are seeing AI as an oracle. It's not. It's an assistant. Mm-hmm. It's a bunch of, a huge amount of assistance that can make our lives so much better, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if we put AI as an oracle that knows everything, that's the wrong way of seeing the whole thing, right? So I think for ourselves, for our clients, the bigger challenge is on the people. The more we make people understand and feel good about it, the smoother the whole thing will happen, right? So, and I think conversations like this, they help people say, oh, so it's not that it's not complicated or complex. It is, but, at the end of the day, if we embrace the unknown, we will be able to, unblock our organization to move forward and live, instead of living with fear, living with excitement of what everything brings, right? And there's an invitation. If we jump into from fear to excitement, more people can be co-builders of the future, and we avoid the potential negative aspects that, all this can bring to the world, right? The more people are excited of building an AI infrastructure with ethics, with, all the compliance necessities, legal necessities, the more this will transform the world into a better place. And the more people, are willing to do that, the better for all of us.
Yeah, 100%. I got to agree with you there. And on that topic, because I love that the framing that you use there of be excited. There's so much that we can do. And if we do that, we can all become co-creators in the space. What I would love to ask you about specifically is, for you, what's most exciting for you? When you look at AI and how it is going to evolve in the next, let's say, 5 years, particularly in the realm of business and digital solutions and everything you're working on. What are you most excited about in this, this transformation we're seeing?
That's a good question. I consider myself a creative person. So I think what really excites me is the possibility of rebuilding everything from scratch with very different. It's not an evolutionary thing. I love the evolutionary thing, but this is a kind of a and this word is so much used, became so much of a buzzword, like this disruption, right? So it's maybe we can find a better word, but what really excites me is that AI is giving us a blank page.
Yeah.
Right. It's not just like you do this thing 10% better, 20% better, very incremental. It's like you can do absolutely different. Right. And the beautiful thing is that with AI, you can do a little piece of something and test. You don't need to do the whole infrastructure or the whole system or the whole marketing strategy or anything. You can do a little piece. You can say, oh, let's pick a little marketing, for instance, you can do just the creative of, your films using AI. You don't need to do all the process. It doesn't need to be automated. It doesn't need to be everything at the same time. And you will feel huge, 200%, 300%, 500%, 1,000% better results by doing just a little piece, right? With other technology in the past, you have to rebuild. Imagine like if you go from traditional systems and moving to the cloud. That's like 3 years project. You have all the difficulties and the challenges of changing that into an organization. And maybe 3 years later, you see amazing results. And in the process, you see some results, but they take a long time to happen. With AI, you can get, let's say you're an airline company and you have a pricing challenge. You can just plug an AI module to the pricing system. You don't need to redo the whole pricing software and increase your results by 100, 200, 500,000% with that little module. And this is so beautiful because you have, not only one blank page, but a lot of small blank pages to work and to be creative and to innovate.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, it's so incredible, everything that's happening. I can obviously see your excitement for the space and everything going on, shining through. One thing that I've heard a lot of companies talk about that they struggle with is, or even employees within companies, especially when you have these big, huge shifts, is kind of the cultural piece. From your end, how does CI&T have really foster a culture that supports innovation and experimentation in AI?
Right. I think we've done that before through the digital revolution. We started 29 years ago doing traditional software, right? Waterfall, very traditional way of developing software. And we moved to lean and agile. Obviously, those changes were slower than what we're living now. But I think two things, maybe two words that come to my mind. The first one is always to be humble. It's like success is a problem. You can't think that you are succeeding in something that you start to become blind. Right. Mm-hmm. And the second word maybe is we try to, talk a lot about that and make sure that people understand that change is inevitable and it's always happen. So never aim for comfort or stability. That thing doesn't exist. Right. So most of the cultures that are, very against innovation and change is because they try to be stable and try to sell to their people that this is the way it works, this is the way it will continue to work, and kind of show some stability, which humans like. But we're trying at CI&T to say, hey, let's understand that the change is inevitable. It will always happen. It's happening a little bit faster now, and we embrace change as part of our culture. I think that's it's a little bit theoretical. It's not so easy to implement, but it's been very successful for us. So instead of moving into fear, we easily move most of our people into excitement when there's news out there, right? Obviously, AI is a little bit more radical and more intense. But the invitation we do all the time is move from fear to excitement, and be grateful for the privilege of being alive this time of the world, right? So with so many things changing for better in such a nice way. Imagine, my father, he was in the glass industry for 40 years, and everything that happened in the glass industry, production of glass during his career was incremental. There was obviously when he started and when he retired, glass was done in a much better way, cheaper, more efficient, etc., but not with any disruption. And we are living, in a moment that it's all about being reinvented. And the moment you have gratitude about that, the excitement starts to come, say, instead of the fear.
Yeah.
Because you say, okay, there's so many unknown things. Maybe I can go build some of the answers instead of wait for the answer, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I think that's such an important mindset shift. And as you really use that framing, I think it sets you up for success. So it's incredible to see you guys are actively implementing that in your company and your culture. Bob, as we look at wrapping up this interview, I would love to ask you one last question. And that would be, based off of everything that you're seeing, what advice would you give to professionals or corporations actively looking at implementing AI or working on some of these developments, or maybe some advice you could give that comes out of your book, Orchestration? What's a piece of advice you feel like you could give these people?
Right. Let's try to combine those two advices quickly. And I think starting with the orchestration, I think it's there's a big thing that I'm provoking leaders as myself to detach a little bit. Don't be so much attached to what to your success, to your concepts, to your beliefs. And on the AI, my invitation is like, do test little things, use everything that comes to your mind, that comes to your, knowledge, and do it small little tests, with your kids, with something that you're writing, with something that you're reading. There's so many amazing tools that you can kind of secretly, if you are around fear and you say, some people, when people start using the expression, when I was young, when I was, if you were there, you just like, and young people are using that too. It's amazing. Like 30 years old people are saying, oh, when I was at college, because they're moved by fear. Is that a good way to move from that to the excitement? Is just do little simple tests. If you're writing a note, the other day I was chatting with my boss, the founder of CI&T, the CEO, Caesar. I was in the plane, I was chatting back and forth with him about something. And at a certain moment I said, maybe this is getting a little bit too hot, in the sense of like, the energy was high. And I anonymized everything, took all the names out, and had a quick chat with ChatGPT, as simple as that. In the plane, and said, ChatGPT, what are the emotions of this text? What this text is bringing to a potential reader of this text? Is it too aggressive? Is it nice? Would I sound as building something or an invitation for building, or am I destroying something? And the results were amazing. The answers were like, yeah, this sounds very constructive, but there's this little phrase that is very aggressive. I don't know. I don't know why you're using that. And then I rephrased and checked it again. So it was really as I was talking to you, Jaden, and say, hey, what do you think about this message? And it was this is so a simple example. But if you do a little bit that, without showing to anyone, you're going to experience the power behind these things. And then you become in love with that. I think that hands.
Yeah, I love that. That's incredible advice. And that's a great example because, ChatGPT or other AI tools, it's just an awesome opportunity to use something with no, like emotional attachment to an issue, right? Sometimes when we work on deals or we negotiate things, we're like attached to it. We want it to be this way or that way. But you give it to that, it's just going to tell you like that, it's flat out computer generated. This is aggressive. This is nice. This is whatever. So I love that. To the listener, thank you so much for tuning into the podcast today. Make sure to go and get a copy of Bob's book. Orchestration is a phenomenal book. Is great listening to you chat about this. I'll leave a link in the description in the show notes for people that are interested in getting that. They can go find this. And once again, thanks so much for coming on the show. To the listener, make sure to rate us wherever you get your podcasts. And I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day.